It's Saturday, it's 11 a.m. It's me, Geordie Pete Redding, on Hollywood Balls, partnered by Manscaped. A couple of interesting facts for you. People from South Shields are referred to as sand dancers, a term derived from the town's beaches and Arabic connections, by the way. It has 6 miles of the country's most stunning beaches. The Lighthouse family make reference to it in Ocean Drive. It forms the legend of shipping background in the Northeast. It has a professional football club to be proud of. Welcome to a South Shields Hollywood Balls pet. Okay, my favourite bit, today's episode is partnered by Manscaped. It's holiday season, and that means there are stockings to be stuffed and elves to be cuffed. Today's sponsor is Manscaped. It's gone global with tools to guarantee you will score under the tree and the mistletoe. Manscaped is the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they've served more than 4 million men worldwide. So if my maths is correct, that's almost 8 million balls. Get 20% off and free shipping, by the way. Yeah, you heard that right. Free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code HollywoodBalls. Normally worn out before we even get to meet the first guest. There you go, Kev. Good man. Good on you. It's traveling news, is traveling fast. Before we meet today's guest, by the way, here's a look at what's coming up on today's show. We're going to preview the big game, which is Liverpool-Arsenal. Going to look at an intriguing top 5 jostle in the Premier League. We're going to be having a look at the man changing the Gunners from set pieces, Fabian Delph's resurgence at Everton, Baller of the Week, and, of course, a bit of DK Hot Sauce Premier League challenge. Brilliant. Okay, today's guest. We love a local lad on Hollywood Balls, and today's is top of the league. A familiar face, by the way, in the Northeast business scene. He's, of course, the chairman of South Shields FC. Loves a round of golf, does our Geoff. Welcome to Hollywood Balls, mate. How are you?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. And thanks for having me along.
Absolute pleasure. We went to the trouble of the South Shields intro for you because you're a South Shields boy, born and bred, aren't you?
I certainly am, yeah. Born in Whiteleys. For people who know the area, it's a local estate not far from the ground. So in approaching 60 years, I think I managed to travel about 4 miles.
But what a 4 miles it is. Now, speaking of South Shields, Debbie Steedman's in the house. Got to say hi to Debbie. Debbie is from South Shields. I can't understand. She must have a soft spot for you, Geoff, because I'll tell you something. She's normally watching James Martin, but she's tuned into us, so welcome along. We'll get back to you and how you got to where you are, Geoff, in just a second. Welcome, Kev. Welcome, George. How are you, gentlemen?
Very well, thanks.
Doing great, thank you.
George, thanks again for last night. Fascinating show of you and I previewing what was coming up and putting the world to rights with FIFA. A great Friday night on TFA as all of the crowd were there. They're there again today. So welcome to you all from all around the world. Welcome to Facebook. Welcome to TFA, of course, the football app. Welcome to Twitter and welcome to all our YouTube fans. Okay. First off, with a busier diary than most of us, the small job of running South Shields, I've got to ask you first, Geoff, how do you even find time to play golf?
Well, I'd like to play more often, but in fairness, I've got a really good team of people around me, so I can't pretend that it's all down to me. I've got Lee Picton as our chief exec. There's a whole bunch of other guys, my finance director, my CFO, Keith. The list goes on, and all the lads as well who are fundamental at the club way back. That we've got a great committee, a strong bunch of volunteers. So there's a management team in summary that does most of the legwork for me.
Big game today as well. You'll be dashing off from here. A home game, which is going to be great, isn't it? Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we were hoping to get our new stand open and ready for some game, but unfortunately, we're just a bit behind schedule. But we're still expecting a good crowd. We haven't had a game for a couple of weeks and a home game for quite a few weeks now. So yeah, it should be a good event. The weather's not bad at all up in the northeast, so I'm hoping that it'll be well north of 2,000 sand dancers at the ground today.
What a noise it'll be. Another big game, Kev, is, I'm going to nickname it, now I'm going to copyright this, but it's the up for grabs derby in the late game. A fixture close to your heart, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Obviously, it's a massive test, a massive, significant game for Arsenal. But Liverpool have to get back on track as well, Pete.
Yeah.
I think it's important after their last game against West Ham. They bounce back at Anfield. It's going to be white hot. Fans are there. What a fantastic opportunity to see a real big game against two giants.
You looking forward to it?
Very much. I'm working the game for Astro, so definitely looking forward to it.
And again, not wanting to sound like a stuck record, Kev, but I'm just repeating what our colleagues in the media say. You just keep getting these stern tests every time you play, and you just keep passing them. But I suppose they have a point today. It's a big fixture, isn't it?
Well, for any of you gamers out there, when you get to the end level and you're at the big boss, you're at the hard level. This is the hard level. Arsenal have passed quite a few tests, and now against obviously a team like Liverpool away, this is the ultimate test. If you get through this, then you're legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big game. It's a big game. Big game.
George, I'm going to come to you. But before we do, George, can you remember our good friend who was telling us about the feelings of the takeover in Newcastle, Patrick Forster from the Barbers? And he gave us that report live from the big market where his barber shop is. I was chatting to him yesterday, and he's getting ready. He's going to the Newcastle game today. We'll touch on that, of course. And he said, I've got to show you this. He said, the missus has got the dog kitted out. And I can't get over this, Kev, George,
Tell you
Geoff.
what.
So he's got Stonehouse on, Paddy there, but the dog has. And it's a new. Got to get this right. No laughing, please. It's a new line of dog clothing called. You've got Stonehouse. This is Bonehouse. What do you think of that, George?
And you're going to tell me he's sold out already, right?
He's obviously going to the game, so they've got to get dressed up, haven't they, in the football gear? Anyway, I just wanted to just throw that in and put you off your stride. George, take your view on the game as a purist. It is a great fixture, isn't it, at Liverpool and Arsenal?
Yeah, it traditionally it's been a great game back in the years. Up until recently, it's always been one-way traffic for Liverpool. Arsenal have got very good momentum. There's confidence oozing out of every player. The club is buzzing, frankly, at Arsenal now. They're doing really well. I think it'll be a great game. I think it'll be a tight game, frankly. Liverpool, they've dropped off a little bit, right, in terms of results. They had the Brighton game. They were 2-0 up. They lost away to West Ham. They were unfortunate with that. There were a couple of decisions that should have gone for them that they didn't get, but that's the beautiful game. Yeah, it's a big test. It's a big test for both teams today.
Looking forward to it. Okay, Geoff, listen, for fans that, may not, like myself, have charted the journey, give us a little bit of background. It's a real labour of love, isn't it? From a boy who grew up in Whiteley's, as you said. What was the catalyst for you becoming chairman of this great club?
Well, basically, back in 2015, I got involved. I hadn't realised at the time, but the club had been exiled from playing football in our hometown. We were playing down in Peterlee, which is a town about 25 miles south. And to be quite frank, the club was basically on the brink of extinction, really. So when I heard that news, it just felt right that I should get involved and try and help. And if you go back to the history of the club, and not to bore everybody too much, but we were first established in 1888. We were in the Football League in the 20s right up until 1930, beating the likes of Man United and Chelsea, dare I mention. So we've got a rich heritage, a fantastic pedigree. And going back to your point, having heard the dilemma of the club, it just seemed the right thing to do. I used to watch the club a little bit as a boy. I can't pretend I was there every home game, but my dad and my late uncle used to take me along to our old ground at Sunset Hall. And as I say, when I heard the plight of the club, I just wanted to get involved and try and help.
And help you did. I mean, when you look at it now, and Geoff, you know, I know from speaking to you, you're a very humble man, but the difference that you've made there and to turn that club. I mean, George, just to bring you in, because we chat about grassroots football and passion of the lower leagues, but this is some story.
Yeah. It's a wonderful story. You know, it's now, I think, is it the fourth professional club in that area now after Newcastle, Sunderland, right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal. You know, you know, it gets recognition with those bigger clubs, respectfully, Geoff, right? But you know, South Shields and that geography, it's a beautiful area full of footballing tradition. And you know, fair play to you, Geoff. Well done. You saved it. I think that's wonderful for the game, and it's just wonderful. You know, people often associate the game with just the big clubs. It's about the fans. It's about the community, right, Geoff? So you've done God's work. You've done God's work for the community, and I'm sure they love you for it. You know, it's wonderful.
Thank you, George.
I mean, you say the excitement that they haven't played for 2 weeks. You're expecting a good crowd. The Northeast at the moment, Geoff, as you well know, it's bouncing for another club as well. But it would be great, wouldn't it, just to see, you know, it puts, as you well know, it puts a stride in everybody's step if the results are going the right way, doesn't it?
It does indeed. You know, all right, you know, we've got the richest club in the world now on our doorstep. We're almost equidistant between Newcastle and Sunderland, not far from Middlesbrough. So yes, we're now a new full-time professional club amongst that kind of pedigree and those kind of neighbours. But back to your point, Pete, absolutely. You know, I look around South Shields now, and you know, 6 or 7 years ago, you wouldn't have seen many people wandering around with a South Shields shirt. A small example, perhaps, but it demonstrates if you walk around the town now, there are literally thousands and thousands of people. I don't want to overplay it, but you know, they're very proud of what the club's achieved to date. We're on a trajectory. We're still very ambitious, and you know, whilst that's clearly true for Newcastle and Sunderland and other clubs, it's equally true for us. You know, the success of the football club has a bit of a halo effect on the rest of the town and how people feel. Yeah. So that's an important factor to consider.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. George, going to come back to you. Two eccentric managers go head to head. One sitting on his bucket, the other will be flying up and down the touchline today with Conte and his counterpart from Leeds. What do you think people can expect today? It's going to be a lot, but there's going to be a lot of football, that's for sure. And I don't want to put the mockers on it, but I can't see it being goalless.
I don't see it being goalless, but the contrast in the behaviour of the managers on the touchline, it's chalk and cheese, you know. Bielsa sitting on his bucket, motionless, and Conte will be jumping up and down, and that's just for the kickoff, you know. You know, it'd be fabulous, you know. And you just know there's going to be one camera on Conte for the whole 90 minutes, right? You know, you just know that, and I think the fans almost looking forward to that as much as the actual game itself.
Absolutely. Kev, another massive game featuring one of your old clubs, Everton. Now, whisper it, but you know, we've had to report on that there's sort of murmurs of unrest from the Gladys Street faithful, and they're not too happy with what's going on. But there's one player who stood out for me, and if Newcastle were to make a move for a midfielder, he would be high on my list. Fabian Delph. He's having a great period of a great spell at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's resurgent. I think he's got the experience in there. You know, he's a Premier League winner at Manchester City. He's come into the club, and he's had ups and downs. He's suffered a lot of injuries at the club. But one thing he is, Pete, he's a fine player. He's a good player, and he seems to have found his feet, come back into the team, and he does look the real deal in there when they really needed it. So, you know, they're going to need him against a Man City team who obviously are looking to be champions again. So it's going to be a tough one, but Fabian Delph looks good.
Another test for Rafa, isn't it? It's just like, I suppose that's the beauty of the Premier League. And while I've got you, I wanted to say, I was just looking at that table this morning. It's it's nicely poised. If you look at that, there's 6 points between the top 5. It's all to play for, which makes it a massive, massive game today. And I've got to include George's favourite team of the season so far, because there was a great interview with Declan Rice, which he said, we're not going anywhere. We just keep winning. So don't discount us as well.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, what Moyes has done with that team is incredible. It's great for the game. You would never think West Ham will be a top 4 club with respect to West Ham. They deserve to be the way they're playing. They're great to watch. Very difficult to beat. They've got rhythm. They've got momentum. They've got confidence. Great for the game. It really is. But can I just say a quick point about Rafa and Everton? We got to cut him some slack. The amount of injuries Everton have is not insignificant. Right, they've got 4 or 5 good players out still. They're recovering, but they need another 2 or 3 weeks. The last team you want to play with 5 or 6 key injuries is Man City away. So you got to get context is useful sometimes, I think.
All the best is the phrase, I think. Okay, Geoff, you were saying about that strip, which I love, by the way, and talking about famous sand dancers. Honorary President Jade Thirlwall, she had something to do with the old design of the top. Am I right?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, obviously she's a local girl.
Little Mix.
We all know. Yeah, I'm sure we all know about her and about the group. So she's a kind of global star now, but she's not forgotten her roots at all. She's got a couple of businesses I know in the town, and she's very active with a number of charities and very active with us as well. Club.
Great stuff, Kev. A story this week which really stands out for me, and it's built on the rebirth of the Arsenal. But before we say that, I just want to say all of the press this week are saying about trust the process. Now it seems to be a buzzword at Arsenal, but you were saying this when Arteta first joined, weren't you?
Of course I was, Pete. And the press weren't saying trust the process at the start. They were saying he's a novice, he's this, he's that. The problem is at Arsenal is the past. When you've won in the past, everybody wants to just microwave it, press a button, and you're back there. It takes time. You've got a dressing room that was dysfunctional. You've had players in there who weren't willing to fight for the football club, fight for the badge on their chest. Everyone was just going with the name on the back. No, what's got to happen is the person in the shirt, forget the name at the back, has to fight for the badge first. Then people recognize the name on the back. And now they've signed youngsters and they seem to be going in the right direction, Pete. Yep. And trust in the process. Arsenal have been, since the first international break, Arsenal have probably been the most consistent team.
The set pieces, they've improved a great deal. And I was reading a fascinating article. A gentleman called Nicholas Jover. He's the Gunners set piece coach. He's been described as a set piece genius, top of his game, by the way. And it seems this is like a massively growing thing in the game. The interview says that he has a lot of friends that are in similar roles, and they've formed this think tank where after games, training and what have you, they sit down and discuss set pieces. Be a fly on the wall there.
Well, do you know what, Pete? Back in the day, set pieces was a key, especially at Arsenal, set pieces was a key part of our armory, because that can be the difference maker in a game. You get a goal from a set piece, getting your noses in front is so important. But obviously, maybe teams have got away from that philosophy, and it's all about technique and all this kind of thing, tiki-taka football, that type of stuff. Now they're getting back to a little bit more basics, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think it's a reflection of the game, though, right? As the game evolves, you get more focus on more specialist areas. It's rather like the NFL in the USA. It's no surprise you now have dedicated professionals that are advising on set pieces, right? And this guy, Nicholas, I think they just got him this season, right? It's his first season at Arsenal.
Yeah, it is.
He's got a bit of a rap that's been quite good. But as you say, what's really heartening is exactly what you guys say. There's like 5 or 6 of them who are kind of enemies, right? They play for different clubs or they work for different clubs. They get together and they discuss the subject matter, right, of set pieces. And I think this will be a growing focus and a growing discipline. Look, I'm so old. I remember the days, even before Kevin Campbell, George Graves Arsenal used to put it, long cross, back post, Stapleton nodded it back, and Kelly used to score for him all day long. I used to hate that, But
was that on ITV, George?
Geez, that was when I had hair. You just knew it was 0-0 against the Arsenal. 1 minute to go. Here we go. It worked every season. I still cry about that stuff, But it will evolve. This discipline will evolve, and it's no surprise. There's so much money in the game, so much focus in the game nowadays. Doesn't surprise me, and Nicholas is very good at it.
He is. Geoff, so from coming from where you've come from to where you are now, as chairman, you've got to have one. So what's the vision? What's the sort of next phase, if you will, for South Shields that the supporters and people associated with your club can look forward to?
Well, I think there's a number of things to say. Firstly, I've invested heavily alongside our fans, by the way, because I've now got over 1,000 fans who are shareholders in the club. But we've invested in infrastructure, so we've got a ground grading now that's approaching the minimum requirement for Football League status. So we're going to continue to invest in infrastructure. We've got our own training facility alongside a charity that we put alongside Harton and Westover Miners Welfare. And the football club's got its own charitable arm. I set up a foundation 3 or 4 years back now. So our foundation, alongside the welfare, gives our first team and the academies a great training facility. So my point is, that ongoing investment in infrastructure is important because it's not just about throwing money at first team wages, one could argue, because that's really a road to ruin, even at our level. So that's continuing. Frankly, to put it in a nutshell, I don't see any reason why we can't be back in the Football League. Now, some people might think that's overly ambitious and might cringe at how arrogant that might sound. But, we were there, as I said earlier, in the late 20s up to 1930. Why could we be there now? South Shields and South Tyneside, as a conurbation, we've got about 150,000 people live in the area. Again, we're right smack between Newcastle and Sunderland. No reason at all why that conurbation cannot support a Football League club. And what we're trying to do is go about it in the right way, as I've just said, investing in infrastructure, investing in our academies, in our foundation, in our charitable activities. So that's our ambition, and I believe we can achieve it. We haven't set a firm timetable. That would be pretty risky, but I'm very confident with the backing of the fans and the backing of the community, we can get there.
Exciting times.
Pete,
yeah.
Listen, if Barrow can do it, Crawley can do it, Harrogate, Salford, why not South Shields?
Absolutely. And I believe a key component of all of that is the community. Yeah. And there aren't many more passionate fans than South Shields in the world. It's part of the DNA of the Northeast, right?
Yeah.
So, fair play to you, Geoff. Wonderful. I would love it. It would be wonderful. And I'm sure you'll achieve it. But as you say, you should never set timetables because you just don't know, right? You just don't know.
A one to follow was stay in the Northeast, Kev. Only at Newcastle. The new gaffer's got a bit of bother today. He's got to stay at home, hasn't he? Any chance?
Listen. When it rains, it pours, doesn't it, for Newcastle? I mean, they've got all the money in the world. They've got a new manager, and now we can't even manage the team. You can't write this stuff. But, listen, I'm sure he's been doing a lot of work with the team, etc.
Yeah.
Obviously, he can't manage today. But it will be interesting to see how Newcastle go because, he's had 2 weeks with virtually the full squad, hasn't he? He's had 2 weeks. So I hope to see a vibrancy in Newcastle's play. The club need it.
It's funny you say that, Kev. Obviously, we touched on it last time as well. He's obviously going to see different players in a different light, which was fascinating. I know it is Sky News interview yesterday, in which I actually commented that he looked shattered, he looked a bit peaky. So I just thought it was because he was doing 14-hour days trying to get that lot fit. But he was saying that he literally hasn't seen any of Newcastle, because when he goes in to training in the morning, it's dark, and when he comes out, it's night. So he was looking forward to go in today for his first game, but that's not going to be it. I was chatting to Lee Clark last night. You've got to say a big hi to Nash, and congratulations. He's just taken over Al Ittihad in Oman. So he's on his way out to the Middle East, back in the game. Well done, Lee.
Congrats.
Congrats. George, so one manager to the next, both under pressure in their own sort of different stories, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer feels got to get a result over the weekend, hasn't he? We keep saying that every weekend.
I think, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, and everybody thinks they have ITKs in the nose. I think Ole's done. I think this is his last season.
Okay.
I think it's a consensus almost. Everybody loves him if you're a Man U fan. He's been a hero for them. He's done some very good things as a manager, but there's just too many fundamental things that don't go for him in the big games. You can't keep saving games in the last minute by Ronaldo. That's no way to structure a great club like Man United. So he's under pressure.
That, was he? He wasn't bought to save them.
No. Listen, we love Ole. He's a great individual, great for the game, great history. I wish him well. I hope they do well, but it's a question of time, I think, at this point. And I'm not happy saying that, but I think at this point it's inevitable. Man U are not near the top four now. West Ham are better than Man United. While that pleases West Ham, you ask what Man United fans feel about that.
Yeah.
It's reality. Yeah.
Geoff, another club that is not in the shadow, but isn't in the top or upper echelons, is Gateshead. But they've proven that if you get a good cup run going, they've gone further than Sunderland in the FA Cup. There you go. I've said it. There you go, Kev.
You couldn't resist.
You love it.
You couldn't resist, could you? You couldn't resist. Take the high ground, man.
I've been good for a couple of weeks, but they have. It's a fact. They've gone further than Sunderland in the FA Cup. But my point was that
that was your point. That was your point.
Getting a good run together, not just for the area, Geoff, but for the club, would be fantastic as well. So is that something in the thought process that these cup competitions are golden for the likes of yourselves?
Yeah, it's sad that you mention it, because clearly we're not in the trophy nor in the. We went out early in the preliminary rounds of the FA Cup, so it's not been for us this year. But they are important, and unfortunately we were out early. But good luck to Gateshead, and they've got a televised game, haven't they? So it's fantastic. I wish them the very best of luck. And it's interesting you mentioned Gateshead, because sorry.
Go on, Geoff. No, go on.
No, I was just going to say that there's a close link between South Shields and Gateshead. Rivalry now in more recent times, but South Shields as a club moved to Gateshead in 1930 and then did it again in 1974. So the two clubs have got this kind of interconnection historically, but nowadays probably we class ourselves as friendly rivals, I hope.
Friendly rivals. Is it the same though, Geoff, with the Shields fans down there? On Cup Day, because it doesn't matter. The Cup's it's a sort of an outlet, isn't it? You're not battling for league points or whatever. It's just a nice day in the community, and as we've said, that community is really important to South Shields. So those days, you should possibly be targeting a good cup run to lift the morale.
Yeah, absolutely. And dare I mention, we won the Vase. We went to Wembley for the first time in the club's history in 2017. Won the FA Vase, and we had probably around 20,000 South Shields fans down there at Wembley. So there's an example of the kind of thing that can happen. That was a Vase, and we're talking about the FA Cup trophy, but nevertheless, the same effect. It has an amazing uplifting effect on the whole town and the whole region. and it does wonders for the profile of the club.
Yeah, absolutely. Kev, come back to you, because although we talked about Ole, someone else in the news at Man United, Jesse Lingard. He's biffed the latest offer. They've offered him, if you believe our colleagues, they're not a great offer, but it's an offer. But I think that's probably signals the end of his Man United career.
Yeah, I think so. I think him going to West Ham on loan, him proving himself, him getting back in the England squad, and them not letting him go at the end of last season. Now he's been involved only sparingly. He's not playing enough football, Pete. And any player worth his weight in worth his salt wants to play. He's young enough. He's good enough. He's still, classed as an England international. Yeah. I think it's time for him to move on, whether it's January on loan or at the end of the season. I think his contract's up. So he could sign a pre-contract in Jan.
Yeah,
and George, could you see him with Harry?
Yeah. Listen, make no mistake. Is the first point is Man United are happy for Jesse to leave. Otherwise, they would offer him a contract that would make him stay. And I understand that decision, because they have an embarrassment of riches up there, right? Greenwood, Sancho, Ronaldo. How many? So it's the right decision for Jesse Lingard and for Man U that he leaves. He's got to play some football. You've got an overload of that type of player at Man U. He's a very good player. A lot of clubs would like him. A lot of my Spurs mates would like him. Yeah, good for him. But he's definitely leaving, I think.
I think you'd enjoy it in the Northeast. Just saying, just put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
At South Shields, is it? Yeah,
definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he might break our. He might sort of player wage bill or wage structure somewhat, but we'd love to have him. Yeah.
Geez, on his wages, he could buy South Shields, right, Geoff?
Oh, listen, okay, guys, before we come to Baller of the Week, just so you know that today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped. Now, these are our picks for the Manscaped Surefire Win Stocking Stuffers. Try saying that after 12 o'clock. Manscaped Signature Cologne is in there. The Shears 2.0 Luxury 4-piece nail kit. The Crop Mops, I'm not going to describe that. The Crop Reviver. Ball toner and refresher. George has ordered one of those. I'm just saying.
What was that last one? What was that last one?
Reviver, ball toner. Kev's got the kit out there.
A bit of modelling. Hold on.
It's Christmas.
A little bit of modelling going on. Hold on. A little bit of modelling going on. Here we go. The Manscaped stuff. Here we go.
Yeah, beautiful. All right.
Here we go.
Listen, it's Christmas, George, and it's small enough to fit in a stocking, but it's big enough to change a man's life.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. Moving swiftly on. George, going to stay with you because...
Of course you are.
It's time for Baller of the Week, as it happens.
Yeah.
Who have you got for us?
I've actually got two, but I will go for one. Tina Rica Corpella, the Spurs goalie, she played against Arsenal for the 1-1 draw. She was outstanding. That game, right? Oh, I was complaining yesterday. A Spurs fan, men or women, it's the same. That it kills you. It just kills you, right? We're 1-0 up against the Arsenal. 2 minutes to go. We had a goal opportunity to go 2-0 up. Didn't take it, and we conceded. But our Finnish goalie, she's world class. But I'm going to give it to Mitrovic of Serbia. Fulham. Okay. That result against Portugal, last-minute goal, was fabulous. So I'm going to give it to Mitrovic.
Good old Mitro. Was a bit of a cult hero at Newcastle, George. Loved the red card, by the way. And even his own club, the official Twitter, on his birthday, literally said that. They said it's Mitro's birthday today, and we all know how much he loves a card. So happy birthday, Mitro. I'll come along the bottom. Kev, who have you got for us?
Listen, I had Mitrovic down as well, but I will change it because George went there. I'm going to go for Emil Smith-Rowe. Young man.
Definitely.
Making his England debut.
Good player.
And, scored on his England debut as well. And I know the opposition ain't great, but I still think it's significant for him and be great for his confidence. So I'm going to give it to Emil Smith-Rowe.
Geoff, on your Hollywood Balls debut, have you got a baller of the week, a footballing hero?
Well, to be honest, believe it or not, I'd also gone for Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
You know, listening to what's been happening to him of late, he's been a little bit overshadowed over recent years, hasn't he? With other players that have got the limelight, but he seems to be doing the right stuff for both Arsenal and, of course, now for England. So, and the one thing I would say, what I read about him is that he's got the right kind of personality and behaviour. You know, the coaches that have had him have talked about how, you know, his humility, how grounded he is, how hardworking he is. So for all sorts of reasons, he gets my vote.
Okay.
He's got he's got a great future, that boy. Great player, I think. Very good player.
Kev and George, the boys are, it's not me, I'm just reading the messages out from your fans. George and Casey should get some Manscaped for their hair. Okay, I think we'll leave that one.
Right, I've got here. Leave it out.
There you go.
Got here.
Leave it out. Okay,
Hey,
Kev, you were...
I've got 3 of them. They've each got a name.
All I've got left is my hair and my teeth, lad. So,
and a fine head of hair that Geoff has as well. Okay, it's that time again. The signal's gone up in the top right-hand corner. It's Danny Kwang's DK Hot Sauce Premier League Challenge. Kev, you weren't with us last week, and it's my duty to report that in your absence, George won.
Did he? Oh, it don't count. Come on, it's international. It don't count. Well done, George. Well done.
Geoff, we are like 10-year-olds, Geoff. Every week it's the same, Geoff. So many apologies.
Having someone of Geoff's caliber on the show is great for us. So that made me, I had to explain to Geoff midweek when we touched base what he could expect in this scenario. Congratulations, George. Couple of right results in there as well. Okay, we've got so many to get through. Fantastic. So the fixtures are all set. In the house today, we've got Scotty Shepherd, Darren DeSendry, Dan Chadwick's with us, Lee Cosgrove, Jace Edwards, Danny Kwang, Martin Craig from Manchester. Great to have him on board. And of course, he hasn't been around for a couple of weeks. Our youngster up in Scotland, Elliot, 10-year-old Elliot, the Toon fan, is in the house as well. As we always do, we go guests first. Okay, Geoff, so give us a score today for the early game. We've got Leicester against Chelsea. I'm
going to go 2-2.
2-2. Good shout. Kev?
I've got 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 to Chelsea. George?
I've got 2-1 to Chelsea.
Okay, I've got 3-1 to Chelsea. Darren's got a 1-1 draw. Dan Chadwick's gone 2-1 Chelsea. Lee Cosgrove's gone 2s apiece. Jace has got 2-1 Chelsea. Danny's gone 2s apiece. And Martin Craig from Manchester City's gone 2-1 to Leicester.
What about Elliot?
Elliot? I'll get to him. He's just underneath.
Come on.
Elliot's gone 2-0.
2-0 to Chelsea.
I told you about this.
Is it 2-0 to Chelsea?
It is, yes. Yeah,
right.
Have you got that written down?
You got it down. All right.
Okay, good man. Good lad. Okay. It's literally about 8 or 9 people and it's brilliant. Okay, game of the weekend. It's second in our fixture list, Geoff. It's Liverpool-Arsenal.
Well, with the risk of upsetting my co-hosts, perhaps, but I'm going to go Liverpool 3-1.
Okay. Kev?
I've got a 1-1 draw. I have.
A 1-1 draw. George?
Yeah. I've got Liverpool 3, Arsenal 1.
Okay. Yeah. I've got 2-0 to Liverpool. Scotty's got 3-1 to Liverpool. So has Darren. Dan Chadwick's got 2-0 to Liverpool. A 3-1 for Lee. A 3-0 for Jace. 3-2 for Danny. All for Liverpool. Martin Craig, supporter of Manchester City, has gone 2-0 to Arsenal. Good for him. Elliot has gone 2-1 to Liverpool. Okay. Watford, Man United, Geoff.
I'm going to go Watford 1, Man United 2.
Okay. Good shout. Kev?
I've got one more. I've got Watford 1, Manchester United 3. 3-1.
Okay. George?
I've got 2-1 to Man United.
2-1 to Man United. I've got 2-0 to Man United. Scotty's got 3-1. Darren's gone for a 1-1 draw. Dan Chadwick, Man United fan, he's gone 2-0 to Manchester United. Lee Cosgrove, of course, top red, has gone 3-1 to Man United. Jace has gone 2-0 to Man United. Danny Kwang's gone 2-1 to United. Martin Craig, supporter of Manchester City, has gone Watford 4, Manchester United 1. Brilliant. Love it.
And Ollie Sacks.
Also,
and Ollie Sacks with that.
Yeah. He's got his P45 in there as well. Okay, so young Elliot. Young Elliot's gone 2-0 to Manchester United. Great stuff. Okay, Geoff, we've got Man City against Everton.
I'm going 3-0. Sorry, my earphones have run out of battery, so I hope you can hear me okay.
Can hear you fine, no problem. 3-0. Kev?
I've gone 3-1 City.
3-1 to City. George?
I've got 4-0 to City. Everton fans go easy. A lot of injuries. I've gone 4-0 to City.
You and me both, George. Scotty's gone 2-0. Darren's gone 4-0 as well to City. Dan Chadwick's got 3. Lee Cosgrove, supporter of Manchester United, has got Manchester City 1, Everton 2. I love this competition. Jace has done the same. Jace Edwards has got 2-1 to Everton. Danny Kwang's got 3-1 to City. Martin's got 2-0 to City. And 3-0 to City for young Elliot. Okay. Last up, arguably, again, so many good fixtures, but this one I'm really looking forward to. Geoff, we've got Spurs and Leeds.
Well, I know I upset Kev earlier, but I'm not going to do the same with George. I'm going to predict 3-1 Spurs.
Excellent.
Good stuff. Kev?
I was deliberating on this one.
Come on.
But I think there's going to be goals in this game, and I've gone 2-2.
Okay. Brilliant. George? You'll be lower Tottenham.
Spurs to win 2-0.
Well, I'll be backing you because I've gone for the same as well. Scotty's gone 2-1 Spurs. Darren's gone 2-2. Dan Chadwick's got 2-1. Lee Cosgrove's got 3-1 to Spurs. Same for Jace. 1-1 for Danny Kwang. 1-0. Martin Craig says Spurs will beat Leeds. And young Elliot also got 1-0. Elliot's tagged a 1 on the bottom as well. God bless him. He's put Newcastle to win 2-0. Elliot, good on him. We'll take that as well. Listen, it's been absolutely fantastic, Geoff, but I can't let you go because I've got to ask you this to end the show with. So let's just say I'm coming over to South Shields. We're going to go to the game, but you and I are going to have a night out on Ocean Road. Where are we going for a curry?
Well, as you know, Pete, and maybe the rest of the lads don't, but we've got an amazing sort of depth and range of different Indian and curry houses in South Shields along Ocean Road particularly. So there's a lot to consider, long-winded answer, but I would take it to Zeras, Pete.
Zeras. Okay. It's a date. We wish everyone concerned with South Shields all the best for the game just after this. Kev, hopefully we'll see you next week. If you've got a busy week ahead, I'm sure that you have, as well as George. George, are you going to get any time on that sofa of yours to watch any football?
Yes. Thank God. All good with the wife today.
Zoom's off.
We had family. I'm not going to anything. Today and tomorrow, it's all football.
Great stuff.
Fantastic.
All of the fans have literally thanked Geoff for his time. It's great that you could join us on Hollywood Balls. That's it from me, Geoff, Kev and George. We'll see you next time on Hollywood Balls.